Ideas without execution is just entertainment. And entertainment is fun, but it can be really disruptive if all you're doing is engaging in entertainment and not doing the thing that your company is supposed to do. On this show, we're going to sit down and talk about the metamorphosis that happens when you become a leader.
We'll share our biggest wins and our losses and interview other leaders to find out how they stay in charge without losing their minds.
I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Zach. Welcome to the Who's in Charge podcast. All right, welcome everybody to an episode today where I want to talk to you, Stephanie, about AI. And it's a big buzzword, right? It's all around the industry for sure and all around the world. And I will just speak honestly from myself. I think from an entrepreneur standpoint, it's very exciting and almost scary. You think ever since we got into this business, one of the things we used to talk about is be careful of shiny object syndrome. And it's funny to think 10 years ago, shiny object syndrome would be like, hey, we're flipping houses, but we could do storage or, or like some of these like really big changes. And now there's a new AI tool. There's a new AI use case literally almost daily of like, oh, you could do this. Oh, you should do this. And for me, as somebody that struggles with focus and loves that stuff, I get so excited when you hear about it. But then it's like also like, oh crap, I need to make sure that I'm focusing in on like what's actually going to make a difference. And one of the things I've been focusing in on over the last couple of weeks is going back to the 4 disciplines of execution, right? Like ideation and ideas don't mean anything. Like they're actually destructive if you don't get into the idea of execution. And so, looking forward to talking to you today about the different AI tools out there, talking about some up and coming things that are exciting, but also making sure you do so good with this of making sure that I and the listeners can stay focused and like what's actually going to make a difference.
First of all, I just have to say, what an evolution to hear my husband say ideas can be disruptive.
Right?
Wow, we've been married for 19 years.
I've come a long way, girl.
We've come such a long way, and the ideas are really exciting, but without executing, it's really just like exercise. Like you're just not, maybe that's not even the right way to say it, but without getting to the point where you're doing something about the idea, it's entertainment. That's what I want to say.
There you go, entertainment.
Ideas without execution is just entertainment. And entertainment is fun, but it can be really disruptive if all you're doing is engaging in entertainment and not doing the thing that your company is supposed to do.
Yeah. I just spent 10 minutes today getting mythical creatures to come up on our screen when we complete a task. I don't know if it's going to make us any more money, but it is going to be fun.
You added some whimsy?
Yeah, added a little whimsy. Bring some whimsy in.
You got to bring some whimsy. I think it's good to hide little Easter eggs, Taylor Swift has made a career out of it. Why can't you add a little rainbow every once in a while? I think what's been interesting, just of what's happened with tech and AI here recently is I feel, and this is a lot of the discussion that I'm having now, talking to venture capitalists and private equity firms and trying to understand their perspective and how they're evaluating opportunity in companies and what makes a company valuable and what and how they're assessing that. I feel like I've learned so much from getting out of our own industry and like talking to other people who are evaluating other industries and again, what makes a company valuable. And kind of what I've learned here, this year specifically is now the workforce is kind of dividing out into 3 main categories: system of record, system of action, and database. And I've never thought about it that way until this year. I think this is interesting because we have a system of action now that's up and coming, and that's Claude, and that's Slack, and that's how we interact with our technology, and that's kind of where it's starting. Like AI has really transformed system of action and how people prefer to interact.
Why don't you talk about all 3 of those? System of records, system of action, system of database. What do you mean when you talk about those?
Okay, so system of record is basically what holds that's like your center of truth. Like where's the truth? Where do you find the information that you need to do business?
Just like our CRM.
Yep. CRM is a system of record. That's where you have all of your information in one place, right? And then you have system of action, and that's where you do the things. That's where you send the email, send the text message, make the phone call, ask questions or collaborate with each other. That's all system of action. And then database is a little bit more static. That's like just where all of the raw information sits. Like that's just what holds all of the data sets that you pull, and that essentially interacts with your system of record and your system of action. And just to kind of give you some context, the three of these things before were kind of one thing, right? Like, for example, Left Main as a CRM was all those things. It was a system of record, it was a system of action, and it was your database. Now we're seeing like an introduction of a new way of system action. And I think that's what's really disrupting the SaaS industry and like all of our industries quite a bit, because how people are interacting with technology first starts with that action.
Oh.
That makes sense. So it's really quite interesting. So when you're thinking about your company, your real estate investment company, or your SaaS company, whatever it is, to figure out where to best use AI and how to basically, like, your whole tech stack just kind of got reshuffled with all the introduction of all these new shiny tools. If you start trying to organize them into those three buckets, things start to make sense a little bit more. For example, a system of action that we've always had a better path was Skype or what's it called? Google Meet, Google
Slack,
Chat.
yeah.
Yeah. And then we really required that to interact with our system of record so that we could keep track of all conversations we had about a certain transaction. And so it's easier when all these things are in one place. But when there's really rapid innovation in one of those areas, it kind of starts to pull them apart. So we had really rapid innovation in system of action and like asking like Claude to go build something for you. And that innovation was so rapid that it requires now the system of record and your database to also, make sure they play nice in that sandbox. So I think this is a really complicated, innovative time. And I've learned that putting them in those three categories kind of helps me understand where my opportunity is to utilize things. So like database, for example, like what do I need, like for my company, what do I need a database for? Like in a traditional real estate investment company, a database holds all the prospects possible, right? Like every parcel in your MSA, or every homeowner that has equity in their house. Like this is your database of things that you could potentially do business with, right? And then you have your actual system of record of the things that people you've interacted with and like have opted in, and like the management of your funnel, et cetera. That's your system of record. So I think it's interesting to know, like, well, do I need database help? If you need database help, then there's a plethora of things that can help you store data better that plugs in to your system of action or your system of record. If that's not a problem for you and you're like, I don't need an external database, then you can eliminate a crap ton of technology that you don't need to be distracted by.
Yeah.
And then I think the two big ones for most people right now are system of record and system of action. And ideally these things are all in one. But what I've found, like I said, is the system of action is innovating so quickly that I think that's probably our best place to start. Like, how do we collaborate with each other? How do we communicate? How does all that tie back to our tech stack?
Right. And that's all. And I am definitely not the tech one on this call. Right. So, I can explain it for the kindergartners out there, because I have about a kindergartner understanding, but we've just spent some time on that over the last week, right? The idea of like making connections to like a system of action of Claude, for example, and getting it into, Left Main, which, I think, is amazing because it houses all of these things for me, right? Like it has the database in there of our prospects if I need to go and do something with those or take action on those. And then it has my system of record of who I'm most interested in. And I'm literally just scratching the surface now of what I can do with Claude to be able to kind of interact and and show me. Like focus is another one of the big things that I need help with, right? And so I was playing around with that in some of the team today. The idea of like, where should I focus? And I think left main is great because it has dashboards and that kind of helps me focus. But literally, I think some of these AI tools are now bringing it to the next level where I can ask it a question of like specific, you know, I went through and I asked like, hey, I have one rep. They typically close really big deals. Where are we missing opportunities? And it came through and it was like, here's your 4 or 5 different action items of where they need to come in and improve, where they could be dropping the ball. And I think that is an exciting moment to help focus. Because I think for myself and probably for a lot of the people on our team, like they don't want to sink the ship, right? They want the ship to move and progress forward, but like give me the most clear action of what I can do and which levers I can work on. And then they're happy to do it.
I think this I think you said it really well. And I think what's also kind of been really disruptive about AI is how we think about AI is typically wrong. Most people think about AI like a job role. Like, okay, I need AI to be a person because that's what I have. Like
Let's
I have
get rid of lead
people.
management. Let's get rid of them.
Right.
Let's put in
Let's
AI.
replace the lead manager with AI. Let's replace whatever sales. Let's replace underwriting. Let's replace whatever. Right? They want to. People are looking at AI like a job role, and that's really not what AI is meant to be for. Especially a lot of these tools of system of action and things like that. AI is really a part of labor. So AI is not a job role. AI is labor. And so if you start kind of shifting the way you think about that, that becomes very complementary to a job role and it becomes a skill. So instead of thinking about replacement, like you've got to kind of rethink about how you look at work in general, like how work gets done. And I think that's the challenge why people are really inefficient about it is because we're trying to make it fit like the job role of a human instead of the augmentation of a part of the role. And I think that's where success comes. So how can I make things a little smoother? How can I remove friction? How can I leverage some of this automation or some of these AI things to help me make better decisions? So your example of going to Claude, having it hooked up to Left Vein, for example, your CRM, and say, where are the best opportunities? Where should I spend my time today? And it can synthesize all of that information inside of the system and then serve up a couple key actions for you to take. That's not replacing you. That's making you better in your role. And so what that requires is you to have good communication skills, just like it would for you to hire a new person, right? But like you've got to ask good questions and like write good prompts so that the thing makes sense when it responds to you. And then you've got to have it hooked up to a reliable data source, a reliable system of record to be able to serve anything up to you. So it's really kind of cool. And then all of a sudden you notice that you can do more with the same humans that you have because you're slowly removing friction. I think that can be also true when you think about improving processes or improving tools that you have. Like you built a replacement for DocuSign. You had a very specific, I know, like DocuSign, I'm sorry.
Uh-oh, shots fired.
Like, I think and like Asana, right? Like I think what made that really successful is you identified a friction point and a cost point. And you're like, I just want to solve for this one little piece. And you're able to articulate exactly what that piece was doing and where it could be better. And then that spins up a very specific use case. In the software world, we call that a user story. We call that an epic. Like it's a very well documented and communicated problem that we're trying to solve and like how we're trying to solve it.
I think at first AI is going to create a gap, right? I think there will be a gap between companies, like with how much more, when you can effectively utilize it as leverage and focus on what you need to and actually execute on something, it's going to start to create a gap. But what I see as today, over the next year or 2 years, creating a gap between me and other investors that are not adopting it and trying to do more volume, for example, with the same team or potentially smaller team, like whatever. Eventually, all all tides are going to rise and it's just going to become the standard. I think it is going to, instead of like, okay, this is going to create a gap between me and the other companies, fast forward a couple years. And I think it will be, it'll be the difference between being in business theoretically or not. That standard of excellence is going to rise, and it is going to do away with average, as we're looking for like where ways that I can perform right now and get a little bit of an edge. What gives me the edge today, I think, is going to be what you need to do to stay in business a year from now.
I think the key here has always been speed. How quickly can you do anything? That's always been the race. Look at mail, right? Like USPS was the reason why FedEx and UPS and all these other emerging parcel delivery services happened, is because they said they could do it faster, which equaled better. Right? Like if I can deliver something to you faster and potentially even more accurately, you're going to choose that service every single time. And same thing with like the internet, right? Like if I can place an order and get that fulfilled faster, or if I can get information faster in a certain way, I'm going to do that. And it's kind of unfortunate because time keeps on compressing. It's like, where's the end? But that's basically what this is requiring too. But the problem and kind of the challenge is you have to learn it. And there's the same thing that happened with the industrial revolution, with internet, with this, right? And like, unfortunately now, what we're asking everybody to do is to complete their entire workday, plus also learn something else. And there's not enough hours in the day. So this requires you to have essentially after hours learning. You have to learn a new skill at the end of your day, or somehow find some time in the middle of your day to learn something new, or dedicate some weekend time to it. It's like going to night school. And therefore there's friction for people to learn it or not. And they're like, well, do I really need to? Like, but meanwhile, the people who are doing it are learning it. And then their businesses are faster because now they're knowing where to plug in these tech solutions, these tech tools, this AI into their day to make them faster. Right. And then therefore, like you said, you'll look up a year or two from now, and the people around you that took the time to understand how to learn it and or understand where to use it and learn it are light years ahead. It's like the difference of not having a website today versus, having a website, right? Like I'm trying to draw it back to some concrete examples, because what I'm trying to drive at is you better learn it now. You better learn it now, because people who are learning it are faster than you. And in the end, that's what matters, is the speed from which you have a good idea, or like trying to make a decision, to actually making the decision and then starting to execute against it. Like that's the secret sauce. You got to be faster and more accurate. Period.
It was 2 months ago in our all hands. That was one of my token slogans, right? Was the idea of sometimes you have to go slow to go fast. Like it's going to slow something down to have to learn something to implement. And it's the same lesson, just different, right? We have the same lesson with training, right? Like I could do this on my own a lot faster than I can train you to do it. Okay. And then you have to do it forever, right? You have to slow down to train somebody to be able to do it, to then move on. And so I agree. I think speed is what's going to win. Speed and improvement.
Another really interesting thing, I saw this quote, was it today or yesterday? It was recently, that said, winners lose more than losers.
Winners lose more than losers?
Yeah. And I was like, that is so true, because it sucks to learn, know, and like you kind of mess it up, but like you're messing up and you're iterating and you're learning, and then you're winning in the end. And I was like, that's such a great timing to hear that, because it sucks to learn something new and like you kind of mess it up as you're learning it and whatever. But the more that you do that, the more that you win. And losers lose once, twice, and they stop, where winners keep on losing and have lost multiple times and have gone basically outside their comfort zone to try to figure stuff out. And I think that's part of the friction now that people have with really this revolution, is they just don't know how to do it. And then therefore they don't, or they're waiting for the moment where somebody serves it up for them. And then guess what? They're going to pay for that. Like that's a service they're going to pay for, right? Like, thank you. Now it's going to be expensive.
And I think this speed is so important, right? But then speed is so, like, that's one of the great things I think about AI is the idea of speed. Like it is speeding up everything. You can speed up your lessons 10 times easier. I mean, just projects that are worked on today of simple things, whether it's, helping to create buy boxes or helping to create scripts and like those different iterations and those sort of things. Like, I mean, they just happen so fast that if you're not implementing these things, like you're no longer racing somebody walking versus running. Like that, the person that's using AI just got in a vehicle and you're trying to keep up with them walking. Like, good luck.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're going to wake up a month down the road and have no idea why they're in, across the country and you're haven't left town.
Yeah. I think, people ask, where do I start then? Like, how do I learn? I think seeking out information is a really great place to start. Like, okay, you hear these buzzwords, start listening and start paying attention to the conversations that are happening, whether that's YouTube or podcasts or training courses. Like, I think you just need to start being exposed to different ideas. Like this is a lot of an idea revolution, essentially, and access to information. I think just get exposure is really important. And this is going to continue to change. Like this is the worst it's ever going to be is today, So continue to stay plugged into what's happening is a really important part of this. And then trying to use it in a different way. Like I challenge you to ask a different question of ChatGPT or Claude. Instead of asking about recipes, ask about, a problem that you're having, or try to articulate a use case, for something. And start building part of labor into it instead of using it like a glorified Google or using it to try to replace a human. Try to think about where the friction is in your human experience and see if there's just a way that you can be a little bit faster. I think that's really kind of an ambiguous way of saying it, but I think the way to adopt it is really different like by company or by person.
Yeah, we all have similar struggles, but oftentimes same struggles at different times. Like what where are you actually struggling in your business? I mean, you could actually probably use it to help identify that.
Right.
I mean, you could drop in your P&L and be like, hey, what do you think about this? So, with a little bit of a better prompt than that. And you'd be amazed at kind of the information that it can spit back at you. I create, advisors, with trusted advisors, people that, you'd want to have in your back corner. Like, and I throw that into the prompts to be like, hey, utilize this information, act as these people, and then present it with questions and solutions and going back and forth. Because oftentimes it's first answer, first iteration. You can adapt it and adjust it to be like, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, this is wrong, challenge it on things. And you can't blindly, this is what I think is good. You mentioned something about like, you have to still know things, right? Like it still will create, hallucinations or whatever. It will straight up lie to you at certain points. So you cannot blindly go at AI and be like, AI is the solution to the world. Like you have to know when, to call it out on its bullcrap. Our daughter messed with us the other day she left the tip for the waitress, and she's like, yeah, you move the decimal, how you multiply by tens and stuff, right? And she's like, yeah, you move it over this way, right? I'm like, please tell me you didn't just move the decimal that way. She's like, yeah, I thought that's what you do. I'm like, you got to think to the end. You don't think a $10,000 tip sounds a little freaking weird? Like you have to know something. And thankfully she was just joking. She didn't leave a $10,000 tip for the waitress. But so you do have to know like when to challenge it, when like the answer that it's giving you like does not seem to fit the scenario. So I mean, you do a lot with Left Main and a lot with other investors, and it's pretty neat to be, like you said, like get out of your own box and start seeing what other people are doing. Where do you find people are implementing things in the real estate world right now that are the most leveraged towards success and utilization?
I think really the biggest impact that I'm seeing right now is supplementing your funnel with different tools. So funnel being like lead to opportunity, to appointments being set and attended, to contracts being signed, and then to closings. I think that finding friction in your funnel has a direct ROI. So it's a really great place to start. There are different tools that are out there that you can plug in that someone's already built and sweat over, okay, and like been lost blood and tears over, that you can just adapt, which is very nice. Thank you very much. It's like watching a movie someone else produced. Appreciate it. but you can, if you look at your funnel and kind of identify where some problems are in your funnel, like for example, if you're having a hard time with appointment attendance, like plug in some automation and some AI that reminds people, right? Or if you're having a hard time live answering your phone, have a backup voice agent that will pick up if nobody else picks up. If you're having a hard time, with analyzing documents and reviewing HUDs because of the sheer volume of it all, have AI help you do that, right? Like plug in an analysis tool to look at your contracts and look at your HUDs and pick up on commonly found mistakes, right? So like, I think there's a really great immediate ROI with looking at your opportunities inside your own funnel, because then you know that the time invested in fixing that problem is going to have a direct outcome in revenue. And I think that can be a little bit grounding when you talk about shiny objects. You're like, well, wouldn't it be nice to just have this other product? And it's like, well, what did that do for your revenue? How did that help you buy more houses today? Right. So I think grounding yourself on your funnel is also is a great way to start. Another way, I think that where you can start is looking at where you're feeling stressed or feeling guilty. There's a lot of tools out there that can help you, or things that you can do with AI to introduce that, like reading emails or responding to emails or scheduling doctor's appointments for your family, or like you can have a tool, you can build an agent that helps you do those things. Like think about where you're feeling stress and where you're feeling friction, and start there. I also think, and this is kind of my thesis, right, with on the left main side, and what I'm trying to do just impact wise in the real estate investment segment, like super passionate about this. Like real estate has been pen and paper for far too long. And now there's really this moment in time where people have adopted the idea that we shouldn't just be using pen and paper. We should be using technology. Like, finally, right? So, what I've put together with Jordan and Steve, some co-partners here, is an event specifically for real estate investment technology. So that's in September 19th through 21st. And we've got a ton of tech providers that will be there that have different solutions for different parts of your funnel or different friction points. We've got some amazing speakers that are really, really relevant, like big names that are finally said like, oh, finally notice this real estate investment space is kind of a interesting opportunity. Like maybe we should pay attention. Maybe the $500,000 a year some people spend, or $500,000 per month, that people spend on marketing, maybe I should pay attention to that company, right? Like that's spending money on Meta. So we've got Meta coming. That's like, hey, these people are spending, maybe we should serve them better. Maybe we should, share some tips and tricks. And like Twilio, who powers most of the phone systems in the entire industry, let alone other industries, and Salesforce and Slack and all these really cool names amongst very specific niche companies for the real estate investment space. My thesis is let's get them all in one freaking room together, and let's share as customers, as people that they're trying to serve. Let's tell them what we need and what we want, and let's see how we can all like kind of, how can we put together series of services that make life easier for real estate investors? How can they collaborate in our best interest, right? And like get some kind of arms around the real estate investment space in general from a technology standpoint. I think we can serve more homeowners this way. I think we can flip more houses this way. I think we can do it better and in a way that's more solvent, so that more and more people, take the 1950s house and make it livable for a new family. I think there's so much to be done in the space. So I'm super pumped about just getting everybody in a room and having some knowledge share. I know I'm going on this big long monologue. I'm sorry, but I think that's where you start. I think you start by talking and like getting people in a room. That
level of access and communication is so critical. Like how many times are we not aware of like a feature actually exists? Like, you know what I mean? And vice versa. How often do they, have a feature that maybe they could let us know, or a simple tweak to be like, oh yeah, I didn't even know that was an important feature to you. But without that access and communication, I mean, it just doesn't happen. And so, I mean, I know I was like that with Jordan. I was like, hey, why doesn't this do this? Like it does. I'm like, shit. Oh, sweet. All right. Awesome. Well, let's make sure we do that then. When is that again?
That's September 19th through 21st in Dallas. If you guys are interested, it's reitechunlocked.com. But, I think I think sometimes if you don't know what to do, you should be around people who are asking questions. Sometimes
Yeah.
just hearing other people's questions helps you kind of organize your own thoughts. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to ask. Well, then you should be getting around people who are asking, right? I think
Right.
that's a really powerful like hack.
Asking and talking. Like I know I have to remind myself of this all the time. Like I was meeting with Benmont the other day and I'm like, somehow just talking, you know what I mean? Just talking about a thing is like, yeah, I don't know why I'm asking you. Like, yeah, no, this is what the answer is, or whatever. And sometimes people can, like you said, just pop you out of your shell. But just getting around people, getting in the right rooms, and it's exciting. It opens up a different part of your brain than just being in the same room, ruminating about the same issue or problem. Like just getting out, you'd be surprised as to the answers that you're going to find. And like I said, now you're implementing something, you're moving, speed, moving forward. What's next? And that's what I think I've learned about business over the last number of years is like, you've got to be moving. You've got to be moving forward. You've got to be growing. You've got to have some sort of hope and excitement for the future, for your company, for your team, or else, if you're not growing, you're dying. And it took me a little while to kind of recognize that. And that's what your job is as a CEO. That's what Ben Mont just yelled at me about yesterday.
That is,
Shout
it's
out.
so true. It's so true. And like, especially if you feel stuck, you got to move. You got to get out. Tony Robbins has been saying that forever. Like, pattern interrupt, go do something different. Like, get out of your office. If you are having a bad day and like can't think right, go sit in a different, go to Starbucks and do the same exact work from a different location, and you get better. Right. I think in a period of time when there's hyper growth and hyper innovation like we are now, it becomes even more important to get out and get exposed to constructive thinking. Like, go be in a place that has people asking questions to questions you don't even know to ask. Like, go be there and go listen, and try to put yourself in a position to get the resources you need to execute. And like, you can't do that from your home office. You can't do that from the office and the coworkers that you've worked with for the last decade that are looking to you for something new. Like, how are you going to come up with something new if you're in the same exact pattern and talking to the same exact people you've ever talked to? You've got to get out and get in a new room, and not just get into a room where people is just an echo chamber. Like, you have to get into a diverse room with people that are actually trying to move things and that are asking questions that are resulting in action. I think there's never been a more important time to do that.
Like some of the coolest AI tools right now that are out there. I think, some of the AI voice agents I think are pretty neat and helpful. Again, not necessarily, even if I'm looking at them as replacing a role, but just adjunctive to, I think have been very helpful. It's fun. I do have a lot of more fun with it. Maybe that we should image generation is been an extremely just like fun one to add, which actually does matter. Like you said, it does lift things up. I don't know where the book is, but there's a book called The Levity Effect, right? Of the idea of
Yes,
having
100%.
fun.
You need
Actually,
whimsy.
right? Whimsy does. Everything could in moderation, right? Like you could drink too much water, right? There could be too much of things, but like done in moderation, right? Like it actually can make you more productive to have like some of these. We celebrate in our channels with what do you call them? Emojis, memes. I don't know. I'm 1,000 years old. I don't know what these things are called. Memes. Yeah. And so we used to put the same damn turkey memes in. We'd have like 10 turkeys. And now people are creating like cool, property specific memes that are, that tell a story in the thing. And it's just a little bit fun.
The highest performers are having fun. And just think about like watching your kids play baseball or soccer, right? Like, what do we shout from the sidelines? Like, go have fun. Like, don't like loosen up. Go have fun out there. Like, you'll kick the ball better if you're having fun while you're doing it. It doesn't mean
Right.
you can like you're out there, being
Lackadaisical.
lackadaisical, right? Like, you just go out there and smile and like. So I think it's really important to have fun at work, and there's some opportunity with like little little Easter eggs that you can leave, and some of these things are like make funny pictures and like make work and life fun. I think that is actually an important part of it. Don't stop there. Like, I think if you just use ChatGPT for recipes or funny images, like, you're leaving a lot on the table, but don't not do it.
Right.
Right? Don't not do it. I think it's okay.
And one thing I'm continuing to try to iterate on our end too is the idea of like property analysis, and putting together budgets and scopes, and to be able to look at that. I think especially having your team kind of utilize that. We spot checked this literally just this week. We had a contractor that came in. I'm like, does that seem reasonable? I'm like, even if you didn't know, I mean, imagine you've never done this job. I just pulled you out of McDonald's and you don't have a friggin' clue. Literally, you could put it into chat with as much information as you can. What should this cost? And I was amazed. It agreed with me, so I had to be right. I don't know. It agreed with me, so I had to be right. But, and it's just blew me away, the idea, like, how much time and education does it take to learn everything about renovation in a household versus like a significant base level of that information is right available at your fingertips. Like, literally could throw in a picture and a couple details about the property. Ask me some questions if you need to, and it spits you out your damn answer.
What an amazing time to have a business, to grow a business, to start a business. Before the advent of AI and this additional new technology boom, I remember talking to you about it. Like, there's always somebody busting their ass in a garage somewhere that's ready to out hustle you. Like, so you can never not grow. You can never not, try to improve because your new competitor just hasn't launched yet, and look at the opportunity now to get into business and to compete with a fresh set of eyes with using some of these tools. Like, sounds pretty good, right? And so I think for us, the incumbent who's been, investing in real estate in Charlotte for 15 years or have a 6-year-old SaaS company, like, we better pay attention too. And everybody on the team better pay attention too, because the next competitor in their garage is launching, a unicorn company. Like, you can do it now. Like, we see our first trillionaire. Like, that comes from adopting the technology and reducing friction and increasing speed. Like, there's never been a better time to do those things. And I think we have to look at this with like child's eyes and like fresh eyes that are unbiased with what we already know and how we already do work, and think about work different, and think about product different, and think about how quickly we can solve and reduce friction different now. Like, I think if you can do that, then you'll find opportunity really everywhere all of a sudden. And it becomes really then like being very systematic of what you are actually going to want to solve.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. You hit it right from the get-go. And I was like thinking about throwing it at the end, is the idea of like, what is valuable, right? And I think AI is valuable. And I think it's actually going to shift like what is a valuable skill from a human. Like, at the end of the day, if people want to make income, you make income based on your value that you can create to other people. And so it's great that AI can help with a lot of different things, but it can't do everything. So the things that it can't do, I think, are going to become more valuable and more meaningful.
What do you think the most valuable thing a human can do is? Or the valuable asset of a human? What do you think it is?
It's funny when your wife asks you that. I have to like filter through the first 5 answers. Okay, we'll get rid of those 5 answers. Those 5 answers are not appropriate for the show. So the relationship piece is what you will never replace. And I do think it's crazy because you will get some of it. You can have fake relationship and personality. Literally, some of the tools that we're using to review calls, I'm like, holy shit, it's actually pretty decent at reviewing. More decent at reviewing emotion than what I would have thought. You listen to some of these AI agents, and they do have, sympathy or empathy, whatever the hell one they can have. But the actual trust in a relationship, their trust that AI could build only goes so far. And so that human to human, like, trust relatability piece, I think, is what's going to be most important. That it can't dispute that. And when you think about that from a business standpoint, that's one of the reasons why I think it's going to be more important. We just talked about it this week, the idea of going into branding, of like doing business with a brand versus like everybody can, if you can put up a website in 3 minutes that says that you buy houses, like everybody does that, right? Like, I think what I was talking about earlier with the idea of it does away with average. Average needs to go and everybody needs to be excellent. And what's your differentiator? Speed of putting in an offer into a computer, you're going to be difficult to compete with that. Like everybody's going to be able to get that. So you're going to have to find another way to win. And it's going to have to be on, I can create that human connection with you. And it's not going to win everybody. Sometimes like, you think about, shopping, like a lot of stores have a hard time winning me over from Amazon. Sorry for all the Amazon haters out there. Right. But like my son just walked in 30 minutes before this episode, said, I need drumsticks. I can either go find time to go buy him some drumsticks, or I can order him drumsticks. They'll be here tomorrow, bro. I don't know. Like, we're moving on. So you will not win everybody with speed, but as far as a differentiator for us in the investment world, it's got to be, for me, that human to human interaction.
I agree. And I think another really valuable human asset that will become more and more valuable as we can supplement some of our labor with technology, I think perspective is going to be extremely valuable. I think you're going to want to hire. I think you're going to want to hire people because of their perspective. Yes, relationship and trust is huge. Like the best recommendation you can ever give somebody is, hey, call so and so because they care, right? Like that's AI safe to talk to another person who cares. But like values a relationship, right? And reciprocal empathy, etc. But I think humans have interesting perspectives that's based on a lot of experience, and it's future proof. Like perspective is really hard to replicate. And you'd hire me into your company because I have great perspective, right? Or point of view, if you will. So I think that we protect those things. You protect the relationship, you protect the point of view and the perspective, and you little by little give the other labor items to technology.
Yeah, I'm trying to like see forward into the world of like, does a position like a plumber that can get underneath a house all of a sudden become like a super valued position because AI can't?
Well, there's all kinds of like weird subcultures out there now with like rentahuman.com and like Waymo, for example. Waymo has this subculture of just closing doors. They need humans to close doors because like people get out of the Waymo and like the door doesn't close all the way. Yes. And so you have to like close the door for the Waymo, and it actually pays humans to do that. Same thing with, is it Uber Eats or DoorDash? I feel like it's one of those names, if not a different brand, but there's this thing in Atlanta, Georgia, where you have to help the robot, the little food delivery robot, cross the street, and it needs a human to do that. And that gives you like a little QR code that you can scan after you help the robot, and it gives you like $5.
That's
so there's
wild.
a whole like subculture of just helping humans, humans helping robots.
Humans helping robots.
Hey, it's a good summer job.
There we go. Another thing you asked about, like the most important, and I think leadership is really, so at the end of the day, you're growing a business, no matter what, you're always going to be, unless you're a one-man operation, you're always going to be in charge of overseeing other people and helping other people grow into what they can be. So I think this is another use case where AI can be a great adjunct. I think you feel kind of the same way. I don't see AI as necessarily a replacement of people or a replacement of everything, but the idea of an adjunctive enhancer. And I've used AI to help me in terms of leadership, in terms of helping, literally all the way down to helping guide a conversation. Of like, I have a difficult conversation to go through. I'm about to go through the roof.
I was like, he's thinking like marriage advice here. How do I?
Oh, I haven't used it on marriage advice yet. I mean, probably because marriage is just so perfect that I don't know like why.
Exactly. You don't need any help.
Don't need any help there.
We never fight.
Got to knock on wood or something. But the idea of, so like, what is super, super valuable? And you talked about the idea of principles, right? And I think so leadership, as far as a skill perspective.
But don't you think that leadership is perspective?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So perspective is going to go into that leadership category of like, what's going to keep me valuable? What's going to keep me employed as I'm going? So a lot of us are entrepreneurs, fine. But like in the idea of like, what's the most valuable assets that you can have would be some of this leadership. AI is not going to lead her. It can help manage people very well, but it's not going to do a great job at leading. And you're going to need leadership skills to be able to do that. So I'm a big one for adjunctive and improvement. Marijuana is an enhancement drug, or what do they call that? What was from that movie? But anyways, Half-Baked. I see AI as just like an enhancer, right? An enhancer to things. But take us home, babe.
Yeah, no, I think this is continued discussion to come for this. Hopefully, those of you listening feel like it's been unpacked a little bit more and that you have some clarity on really where your value is and where you should make continued investments versus where you can think about potentially using these things to improve your business in a responsible way. And I hope that you feel inspired to like get out and learn more and like go into rooms, come to REI Tech Unlocked, come be nerdy with me while we're there and like listen to some smart people and like try some cool tools and like just get out there and try stuff. I think that's just really, really important. And think about your user story. Think about the use case that you want. And I challenge you to pick something that is directly tied to revenue. That way you know that you're grounded in that focus instead of the distraction of, creating a new software company when you're a home builder. Like think about how to make, be able to buy houses better and build houses better and help more homeowners. Where can you remove some of the friction that allows you to make decisions faster and get to the outcome faster? I think having that as your grounding thesis will help a lot in being really impactful. So a lot more to come, but stay nerdy out there, folks.
Stay nerdy. Till next time.